And so what we're going to want to do first is click on Google Chrome to open that up. And then if you don't see your profile picture up here, you're in the top right corner, you're going to want to click on that and then hit Turn on Sync. This will bring you to the sign in page for Google Chrome. We'll sign in here with our APS emails and password. And we always want to link the data with Chrome so that it syncs across all of our devices that we're signed into with Chrome. Cool. Now we're signed in with Chrome. See, my bookmarks came up. I can see my profile picture in the top right of both screens. Now we need to get to the Gmail app within the Chrome browser. So how we get there is we go up to this top right corner here to the Google Apps, click on that, and click on Gmail. And this will sign us into our Gmail. Now that we're logged into Gmail, we're going to take a look at this left menu area here. Much like in Outlook, Gmail has a left menu area with a bunch of different folders and labels such as inbox, starred, sent, drafts, those kinds of things. You can actually create your own labels in Gmail as well. Outlook called them folders. Gmail calls them labels. We'll go over a little bit more about labels in a later video. Just wanted to show you where they show up here after I've created them. And then if we pull up this bar here, we're going to see a section called Meet. This is where you can start a Google Meet if you would like, or join a meeting that's happening already. And then below that, we have our chat list. And these are just the chats that you are doing with individual people. Google Chats you have with individuals. It will not show your group chats that you're a part of. So you will still have to access those group chats via the normal way through the Hangouts app through Google. Now we're going to take a look at some settings. Let's go to the top right corner. We'll click on the gear icon for the settings, and we'll look at display density. This will allow you to choose between default, comfortable, and compact view of Gmail. The default view allows you to see a preview of the attachments that are inside of those emails in your inbox. The comfortable view takes away that preview, but it still gives you a little notification there with that attachment icon that there is an attachment in that email. And then the compact view just squishes everything together so you can fit more on your screen. So I'm going to keep with the compact view, hit OK. We can see that my emails have squished together. And then let's go back to the settings here and configure our inbox. So this is a way that Gmail allows you to ask Gmail to sift through or triage your incoming emails into separate inboxes. So let's say I wanted all of my social emails and promotional emails to go to a separate inbox because I don't want them in my primary inbox because I get too many of them. So I hit save, and now I have 3 inboxes up here. I have my primary one, I have my social one. This is where all incoming social emails would come to my Gmail. And I have a promotion one. So if I've signed up for promotions from companies, all those promotions are just going to go straight to that inbox, and I don't really have to worry about sifting through them every day in my primary. I can just go to my promotions inbox when I want to and sift through them then. We're going to do a quick run through of some general settings just to get you all set up here. We're going to go to the settings icon in the top right, the gear, and click on settings. And then we're going to be in the general tab up here up top. And there's a ton of different settings in here. We're going to go through the most important ones really quickly. One of the most important ones in my mind is the undo send. Outlook had a recall possibility. This is Gmail's version of that. Essentially what Gmail does is it gives you some time in order to hit undo after you've just hit sent. So what I like to do is give me the max amount of time possible, because sometimes I need that extra 10 or 15 seconds to undo that send. So I like to change it to 30 seconds. Another important one is the default reply behavior. So within Gmail, if you leave this blank and it is a group thread that you are working in for emails, If this is blank, you will have to click on the three dots at the top right corner of the message in order to select reply all. But if you select reply all, then it will give you that option right on the page when you are composing your email. So that's just another option for you there. Another important one is desktop notifications. So if you would like to receive a notification on your desktop when you get a new email, let's say, for example, you're working in another application or on another screen, and you want to know immediately on your desktop when you get a new email, you can select that, new mail notifications. Now I'll always get a notification when a mail comes in, no matter what application I'm working in on my computer. Another big one is the signature area. So we can create a new signature right here real quick. So that's the name. And then I will type in my name, TCS Field Technician. And then I can edit this a little bit, change the font to narrow, make it bold. And there it is. And I can create multiple signatures, and Gmail will give me an option to select which signature I want based on who I'm emailing. And another important one is vacation responder. So we can turn that on. Let's say I'm going on a trip from June 8th. And I'm going to select last day, coming back the 18th, nice long trip, out of office, and then whatever automated message you want to send. I am out of the office, etc. And then once you're all done setting up those settings, you want to hit Save Changes, and that'll save all your changes and refresh your Gmail. Now we're going to go a little bit more into depth into labels, which show up in the left menu area here. So we're going to go to the gear icon, the settings icon, and click on Settings. And then we're going to click on Labels tab, which is right next to General. And we can see here the first section of labels is System Labels. These are automatically in your Gmail, put there by Google from the very beginning. You can choose whether to show or hide some labels. Some labels are by default hidden, others are by default shown. So let's say that I want to show my snoozed emails, but I want to hide my spam. Then I can choose to do that. And then under categories, this is if you have configured your inbox to have multiple inboxes. Like we showed earlier, you can choose to show or hide those categories in your labels over here. So I just clicked on show, and then this label popped up. I can hit that little caret, and this will just be another way to get to those different inboxes that we set up. So I'm going to hide those because I don't have those inboxes set up, and you see those categories labels went away when I clicked hide. And then we have our personalized labels. So you may notice that one of your labels or more has the word migrated after it. That means that this was a folder inside of Outlook that has been migrated into Gmail, but Gmail already had a label with the same name. So it needed to differentiate that new label that was migrated from Outlook. So Gmail just automatically puts migrated in there. So you know that that is your old Outlook emails, your information, your folders that have now become labels in Gmail. And so we can also create new labels. So let's create a label titled Teachers. I'll create that. And your personal labels are just automatically alphabetically ordered. So we'll see as we create more labels. I'm going to create a label called admin, create that. That came right to the top here and in the sidebar as well. Automatically alphabetically organized. create a new label called students. And then let's say I want to create labels inside of labels or sub-labels. I'm going to create a new label called elementary. And then I'm going to nest that under students. So now we see that the elementary label went under students. I can create another one called high school. Put that under students as well. So now we see we have multiple labels coming up here. So that's pretty much it. You can remove labels, you can edit them as you see, hide them, all of that fun stuff. Now we're going to go over a really nice feature of Gmail called reading pane. So by default, Gmail, when you open up an email, it changes the entire screen to just that email. So you have the full screen showing you that email, which is nice if you need to see that full email. But if you don't want to actually leave your inbox and you want to see your inbox as you're reading your emails, there is a way to do that. So we're going to go to our settings here in the top right, the gear icon, and to settings. And then we're going to click on the inbox tab at the top. And then we're going to select enable reading pane. And scroll all the way down to the bottom and select Save Changes. This is going to refresh your Gmail inbox. And now we see that this little icon has appeared. So this is the reading pane icon. You can toggle pretty quickly back and forth between reading pane and no reading pane. So let's go into reading pane and see what it looks like. So now I have that same email, but it split the screen in half so that on the left side I still have my inbox, and on the right side I can see that email. And you can also choose to have it on the bottom, just like that. I'm going to quickly show how to further personalize your Gmail experience by going over the themes section. So we're going to go up to the settings gear on the top right and then clicking on themes. And we can see we have all different kinds of themes and backgrounds to choose from. I love mountains, so I'm going to choose that. I'm going to hit save. And let's say I didn't really like that. I can go back to themes, and the default one is right here, Gmail, and we're back to where we started. Another great feature of Gmail is the search function. Much like in Outlook, you can search for emails by keyword or by who sent it. So we have this test email here. Before we go too far into the search function, I just wanted to talk about how in Outlook, your trash email was not automatically deleted forever. However, in Gmail, it will be. Once those messages reach 30 days old in the trash, they will be deleted forever. So we do not want to use the trash as an archive folder. We want to actually archive our emails. So I'm going to click on this email from myself, and then I've read it. I don't need it anymore. I can just archive it so it gets out of my inbox. So I'm going to click on archive up here. Now it's not in my inbox. Let's say a few months goes by and I want to find that email from myself. I can do it in a couple ways. I can search for my name. There I am. And then that email pops up there. Let's say I don't really remember who sent it, but I remember there's some keywords in there, like test and archive. There it is. There's that email. So that's just one great way to use the search function for finding archived emails in the past. We're going to talk about a more advanced feature of Gmail called filters. It's very similar to the feature in Outlook that is called rules, but in Gmail it's called filters. And so this is how we create a filter. We go up to the search bar, click on the arrow at the bottom, and here's our criteria for creating the filter. I'm going to create a filter that takes all of the emails from me to myself that have the word test in them from the last 2 months. And I'm going to create that filter. Now I need to tell Gmail what to do with a message when it comes into my inbox matching those criteria. So I can automatically have Gmail mark it as read or star it or delete it. What I'm going to do is apply a label, and then I want to apply the label test filter to any emails from myself that have the word test in them. And then I'm going to create the filter. So now let's give it a shot. So I'm going to send an email to myself called test filter. And put test filter into the body. And I'm going to send it. So now it shows up in my inbox immediately. And Gmail has also automatically added this label to it, the test filter label. And we can double check that by going down into our labels here, go into the test filter label, and there's that email. So that's the only email under that label right now. And Gmail is also telling me that it's also in my inbox. So if I go back to my inbox, that's there. And now if I archive that email, it'll still be in that test filter label. And another way you can manage your filters is to go to the settings area and settings, and then filters. And we see that filter that I just made is here. I can edit it, I can delete it, I can create a new filter. It's just another way to access that filter section. In this video, we're going to focus on the Google Calendar. We can access Google Calendar from our Gmail inbox. If you don't know how to log into your Gmail inbox, please refer to the beginning of the video, and that will show you how to log into Chrome and then to Gmail. Now, once we're in Gmail, in our Gmail inbox, we can go up to the top right here. All these dots here are the Google Apps. We're going to click on that and then click on Calendar. And that's going to open up a new tab up top for our Google Calendar. Just like our Gmail inbox, the calendar screen has a left menu area. We see the month there. And then this section here called Meet With is pretty cool. So let's say you wanted to meet with somebody and you want to find out if they're busy or not. If they use their Google Calendar and they mark it so that people can see when they're busy, we can just search for a person, click on their name, and I see that Philip here is busy from 9:30 to 10:30 today. So maybe I'll reach out to him and say, you want to meet later this afternoon? Are you available then? Search for someone else. Josh is really busy this week, so maybe I'll reach out to him and set up a meeting for next week. The other section of the left menu area is My Calendars. This is where all of your calendars live, calendars you've created. And then Other Calendars are calendars that people may have shared with you, or even the built-in Google calendars like holidays in the United States. There are a couple ways to create a new calendar. The fastest way is to come over to the left menu area under Other Calendars, and that little plus button there, Add Other Calendars, and create new calendar. So this is going to bring up a calendar. I'm going to put in the name, Test Calendar, and say this is a test. And I'm going to hit Create. And once you get that pop up down at the bottom, Test Calendar successfully created, you can go back to the main area outside of the settings. And that test calendar is going to show up here under My Calendars. Now that we've created a test calendar, we're going to go a little bit deeper into the settings for each calendar. So one thing that you can do is hide the calendar. So I can hide the calendar by unchecking that box, and then that event that was there has just disappeared. I can check it again and see all my events in that calendar back on the calendar. Another thing you can do is unsubscribe. Fastest way to do that is just highlight the calendar there and then click that X, and that would unsubscribe me from that test calendar that I created. Unsubscribing does not delete the calendar completely, we'll go over that later, but it does remove you from the calendar. So let's say, for example, this calendar down here, Technology Teachers, that was shared with me, and let's say I don't really want to be a part of that calendar anymore, I can just unsubscribe and I will no longer see the calendar and I won't receive any more notifications about calendar updates. And as we continue to get into some advanced settings with the calendar, we're going to go over to our test calendar here and click on these three dots. And here we can change the color of the calendar if we want. And we can also go to settings and sharing. So that's where we're going to go right now. So this is our test calendar. Here's the description. And there's a couple of settings in here that are pretty important. So we want to look at access permissions. So we can make this calendar available to the public. So anyone with a Google account can see it. Or we can make it available just for APS. Another possibility, we can share with specific people. So if we have a small team of people that we are working on this calendar, we can add people here. So let's say I want to add Philip and Eduardo. And right here we see the permissions that I'm going to give these people. So this is the most basic, see all event details. I can have Philip and Eduardo be able to make changes to events, or I can have them be able to make changes and manage the sharing of this calendar. And then if I only want them to see my calendar if I'm busy, I can select that. So I'm going to say be able to make changes, and then I would hit send. I'm going to hit cancel right now because I don't actually want to share this calendar with them. And then you can add default event notifications here. So notification, let's say I want to be notified 30 minutes before any event. And also I want to be notified 1 hour before any event. I can do it that way. And then all day events like holidays or birthdays or something like that, you can add notifications for that too. There's lots of different settings here. And at the very bottom, we can unsubscribe like we saw earlier, or we can actually delete the calendar. Now, like I said before, if we delete the calendar no longer exists and no one else will be able to use it. But unsubscribing is what you would use if you wanted to remove yourself from the calendar, but not delete it completely. There's a few minor differences in the settings between my calendars and other calendars. For example, Technology Teachers is a calendar that was shared with me, but I only have a certain permission level. So if I click on those three dots and go to settings, we can see that I can only see all event details. I can't change events, I can't manage the sharing on it at all. I can add notifications, so that's good. And I also can only unsubscribe. I cannot delete the calendar because I'm not the owner of the calendar. It's not my calendar to delete. And real quickly, we're going to go over the top menu area in the calendar. This little icon here will just collapse that left menu area. And here we can go to the next week if we want, and the next week, and the next week, and we can see over here that this little bubble changes as we change what week we're on. If we want to get back to today, we can just hit today, and that'll bring us back to right now where this red line is. Another thing we can do is search. So if I search for Gmail, any event that has that word in the title will show up here, and I can go to that event, view the details. To get out of search, we just hit the back arrow there, and that brings us back. And this is the support, this is settings, we'll go over that in a little bit. And then this is the view, so if we want to, by default, it's set to week, but if we want to view by month, that's kind of nice. I can scroll around, different months. I can always hit today to get back to today. We can view by year. And let's go back to week for the default. Now we're going to go over some of the general settings that you can set for all of your calendars. So we'll go up to the top right here to this settings icon. And first we're going to look at density and color. So we can either choose modern with white text or classic with black text, and we see that that changed there. I'm going to go back to modern. And then information density. So it can be responsive to the size of your screen. That's what I recommend. But you can also do compact, so it scrunches everything together. I'm going to go back to responsive, click done. And we'll go back to the settings icon and take a look at trash. So here you'll find any events that you have deleted. So I made a test event yesterday and I deleted it, so now it's here in my trash. And you can empty the trash. To get out of trash, we go up to the top left, click that arrow. And now let's take a look at some of the more advanced settings here under settings. So some of the important settings under event settings, you can select your default duration of an event. We'll go over in a minute how to create an event, but here you can say, I want every event that I create, I want it to be automatically set to 30 minutes long. And I'll do that. Default guest permissions, so if you invite someone to an event, these guests can invite others and they can also see the guest list. If you don't want them to see the guest list, you would simply uncheck that, and now your guests by default can only invite others to the meeting. This automatically add invitations, if we click this question mark there, so if we select no, we won't be able to see an event on our calendar unless we've already responded to it. So if you select no, you just have to be aware that you may miss an event if you don't respond to it, because it won't show up on your calendar. So that's an important setting to know about. And then you can set desktop notifications or off or alerts. Under view options, we have some settings here. We can show weekends, show declined events, week numbers, and all these customizations here. There are a couple different ways to create an event in Google Calendar. One way is going up to this top left corner here and hitting that create button. What I like to do is just click on the calendar itself. So I'm going to go to next week, June 2nd, and I'm going to click around 9 a.m. And that pops up with a creation window. So I'm going to create a test meeting here. And then I want it at 9, but it's going to be a little long, so let's say it's going to go till 10:30. And then I can add guests here. So I'm going to add Philip and Eduardo. And here I can actually add a Google Meet video conferencing as part of the meeting. And then we have some of the details of the meeting here. So you can actually just click on this button and it'll bring you right to Google Meet where you can join the meeting. It'll do the same for the event participants, the guests that you've invited. And we can also add a description. Test meeting. There we go. And I can also choose what calendar I want it on. So I want it on my test calendar, not on my personal one. And then there's a couple advanced options when creating events that are not shown on this small window. So we're going to go to more options, open up the bigger window, and this will allow me to select a repeating event. So let's say I want to meet with Eduardo and Philip every Tuesday. I can select weekly on Tuesday. We're not going to do that right now. You can also add notifications. These are my default notification settings. That's why they're there already. I can add them or delete the ones that I don't want. And we're going to hit save. So you would want to hit send here, but I'm going to hit don't send because I don't actually want to send them an invite for the test meeting. And then let's say on Monday we find out that we can't actually have this meeting on Tuesday and we need to reschedule it for Thursday. What we can actually do is click and drag that meeting, and let's say we'll bring it to 2 o'clock. And then again we want to hit send here. I'm going to hit don't send just for the purposes of the example. And there we go. That meeting has been moved to Thursday at 2 o'clock.